Every minute, the equivalent of a garbage truck of plastic is dumped into our oceans. That's 1440 trucks every single day and 525,600 trucks every year. Terrifying, isn't it? This overwhelming number is not just a random statistic. It's a grim, startling truth of the plastic pollution crisis that we're battling today. A crisis that is oblivious to international borders or territorial limits. From quaint hamlets to bustling cities, from the abyss of the oceans to the zenith of the mountains, no part of our Earth is safe from the onslaught of plastic. This insidious invader is causing mayhem in our environment, strangulating our wildlife and endangering the very equilibrium of our ecosystem. A plastic bottle thrown away thoughtlessly, a bag dancing in the wind, they might appear insignificant in the moment. But these minute acts build up into a tsunami of plastic that floods our oceans, sculpting an environmental disaster. But how does this plastic reach there? Let's embark on a journey. Imagine a single plastic bottle. It starts off as tiny pellets of plastic resin in a factory. These minuscule beads, each no bigger than a grain of rice, are the building blocks of what will soon become a vessel for our favorite drinks. To transform these pellets into a bottle, they are first melted down into a hot, gooey substance. This molten plastic is then injected into a mold, a hollow template that gives our bottle its recognizable shape. This process, known as injection molding, is quick and efficient, allowing factories to churn out thousands of bottles in just an hour. But this efficiency comes at a cost. To melt the plastic, factories consume large amounts of energy, often derived from burning fossil fuels. This results in the emission of harmful greenhouse gases, contributing to our planet's warming climate. From the factory, our plastic bottle is now ready to be filled, sold, and used. Our plastic bottle, once filled and sealed, finds its way to a supermarket shelf. There it sits, nestled amongst its plastic brethren, waiting for a buyer. A shopper comes along, picks it up, and adds it to their cart. From the supermarket, it journeys to a home, an office, or perhaps a school, faithfully carrying its contents. Despite being so lightweight, our plastic bottle is robust, surviving the jostle of the shopping bag, the occasional drop from a table, and the squeeze of a child's eager hand. It's also transparent, allowing us to see its contents clearly. We take a sip, quenching our thirst, and appreciate the convenience of this seemingly insignificant item. But here's the irony. The life of a plastic bottle, in terms of its active use, is incredibly short. We're talking minutes, maybe an hour or two. In contrast, the lifespan of a plastic bottle, from creation to complete degradation, is alarmingly long. We're talking centuries, folks. After we've drained the last drop of its contents, our plastic bottle often finds its way into a trash bin. Maybe it's recycled, maybe it's not. Either way, its purpose has been served in our eyes. But remember, this is no ordinary trash. This is a plastic bottle, a product of petroleum, a material designed to resist the forces of nature, a material that refuses to bow down to time. And so our plastic bottle begins a new journey. It may end up in a landfill, buried under heaps of other waste, or it might find its way into our oceans, joining the millions of other bottles in the great Pacific garbage patch. Meanwhile, back at the supermarket, another plastic bottle takes its place on the shelf. The cycle repeats, and every time it does, our planet groans under the weight of our convenience. Our plastic bottle, once useful, now becomes a problem. After being discarded, our plastic bottle embarks on a new journey. A journey that, unlike its creation or its brief life of utility, might span centuries, wreaking havoc on our environment. Let's imagine for a moment that our plastic bottle has found its way to a landfill. Here it merges with countless others, forming an artificial mountain of plastic waste. It might seem that the bottle's journey ends here, but in reality, it's just the beginning. In the open-air environment of a landfill exposed to sunlight and the elements, our bottle starts to degrade. But don't be fooled, this process is not as benign as it sounds. It's not a return to nature, but a transformation into microplastics, tiny fragments less than 5 millimeters long. These microplastics persist in the environment, infiltrating the soil, the air we breathe, and eventually our water systems. But what if our bottle doesn't end up in a landfill? What if it makes its way to the ocean? Here it joins the swirling jars of plastic debris, a grim testament to our throwaway culture. The bottle breaks down into microplastics here too, but with more dire consequences. Fish, seabirds, and marine mammals mistake these plastic fragments for food, leading to suffocation, starvation, and ultimately death. The plastic bottle's afterlife doesn't just threaten wildlife, it comes back to haunt us humans too. The microplastics that infiltrate our food chain carry toxins that can cause a range of health problems, from hormonal disruption to cancer. This is the grim reality of the plastic bottle's afterlife. A once useful object, when discarded, becomes a persistent pollutant. It doesn't decompose and return to nature like organic matter. Instead, it breaks down into ever smaller pieces, permeating every corner of our planet, from the deepest ocean trenches to the most remote mountaintops. Our plastic bottle, instead of being recycled, now pollutes our planet. A sobering reminder of the price we pay for convenience and a call to action for us all. But what if our plastic bottle's journey ended differently? Imagine a world where the life of our plastic bottle doesn't end up in a landfill or the ocean, but rather it takes a detour towards a more sustainable path. A world where plastic pollution isn't a constant looming threat, but a problem we're actively solving. That world is possible, and it starts with us. The first step is reduction. It's about rethinking our relationship with plastic. Do we really need that single-use coffee cup or that plastic bag from the grocery store? Small changes in our habits can lead to significant reductions in plastic waste. Remember, it's not just about recycling, it's also about reducing our consumption in the first place. Next comes reuse. Many plastic items are designed for single use, but that doesn't mean we can't give them a second life. Plastic containers can be used for storage, and plastic bags can be reused for future shopping trips. By reusing plastic items, we extend their lifespan and delay their journey to the landfill. Then there's recycling. Despite the fact that nearly all plastic can be recycled, less than 10% actually gets recycled worldwide. We can improve this statistic by making sure we sort our waste properly and recycle whenever possible. Lastly, we can refuse. This means saying no to unnecessary plastic items like straws at a restaurant or plastic cutlery with takeout. By refusing single-use plastic, we're sending a message to businesses that we demand more sustainable options. But the responsibility doesn't just fall on our shoulders. We need to hold corporations, governments, and institutions accountable for their role in plastic pollution. We need systemic change, and that starts with demanding better. The fate of our plastic bottle and our planet is in your hands. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse plastic. The choice is yours.